Ask anyone about crime in Columbus and they'll likely have an opinion. More than 65 homicides have occurred this year, surpassing the city's record high of 46 homicides set in 2020. Now, the faith community is answering the call by law enforcement to be a part of the solution. They're putting the finishing touches on an upcoming virtual type of town hall meeting to address the violence from a spiritual context. News 3's Teresa Whitaker talks to three men from different walks of life who all arrived at the same conclusion.
We need all hands on deck. The Columbus Police Department and the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office cannot do this alone.
That was in February. Columbus Police Chief Freddie Blackman calling on everyone to get involved. Nonprofit agencies, mental health services, the faith-based community. Sheriff Greg Countryman agrees, reaching out to the local clergy, inviting them to join the city on the road to a safer Columbus. You see, Sheriff Countryman may wear a badge, but he's also an ordained minister, a product of the Casita Road area of Columbus's south side, known as Willis Plaza. A young Greg learned the importance of faith early on. He faced some challenges, which left him often the subject of ridicule.
I had a really bad stuttering problem. When I would speak, that people would sometimes laugh at me because I would say the same thing over and over again, and it wasn't that I could control it. I couldn't.
Add to that a learning disability and his parents' divorce, young Greg turned to acts of mischief for attention and acceptance. That began to change one day, standing in his driveway at the age of 14.
I remember exactly where I was, and I remember it like it was yesterday, and that was my first time ever hearing the Holy Spirit just speak to me, and he said, it's the things that you do that you don't have to do that will make the difference.
Making a difference is what Sheriff Countryman says he strives to do. He's wanted to be in law enforcement since being introduced to the junior police program as a kid. Experience has taught him that many factors may lead someone into a life built on bad choices: drugs, poverty, lack of a stable father, gangs, and mental health issues. For Sean Raleigh, it was a combination of factors. He was born to teenaged parents and was shuffled around to 7 different elementary schools. When he was 5, his father was sent to prison. His mother became addicted to crack cocaine. As the eldest, Sean took on the responsibility for his 5 other siblings. For acceptance, he found an outlet in sports and the street life.
Just living the street life. They call it the thug life then. You know, hanging out on the corner, drinking, multiple girlfriends, not having a full understanding of what life really means or the value of life, you know what I mean? So taking chances with your life.
It was the same for his peers, and with no one to answer to until the law caught up with them, they accepted the consequences of their choices. Raleigh's choices put him in state prison for 10 years. Some of his peers suffered a worse fate.
The way they was living resulted in them getting killed or something, you know what I'm saying? Some people, the way they was living resulted in them going to prison, you know, and so it just, some people had wrecks, some people were shot and just became handicapped. It was different ways, but I'm speaking for my peers now, it was just a lifestyle that seemed natural and normal to our habitat and our environment.
One thing his environment lacked was good parenting and adult supervision. That makes a difference, says Reverend Dr. J.H. Flakes III, one of the organizers of the spiritual discussion on violence. He says what society is seeing is a disordered community.
It seems as if our children are really dictating what they will and will not do, not only in terms of the home, but also in terms of schools. And so I believe it's important for us to raise the awareness within our community, within our city, within our neighborhood, that there is a godly order. And when one steps outside of that order, then what you will have is chaos.
Godly parenting is the first step in a series of initiatives the faith community will address. Sean Raleigh is a father. His advice for this younger generation is to stop and think about what you're about to do, because prison is no place for a man.
Start weighing the value of the things that your decisions. Is this worth losing this? or if this worth losing that, you got to weigh it. You got to put it on the scale. You're putting everything else on the scale, put that on the scale. Put your life on the scale. Put your life on the scale and ask yourself, is that what you really want to do? Do you really want to go to prison? That's how you want to end up in your life to end.
Our faith has to be the epicenter of all that we do. And absent of that, and if you look at things, that's what's missing.
2 Timothy 3:2 talks about that there will come a time where there will be people who are lovers of themselves as well as lovers of money, as well as it talks about disobedient children. And so I think we are in that time period.
Checking on your children and knowing what your children are doing is a thing of the past.
In Columbus, Teresa Whitaker, News 3 on your side.
As soon as the Road to a Safer Columbus, a spiritual discussion on violence, is scheduled, we'll get that information to you so you can join the conversation. And download our news app, and don't forget to turn on the notifications. You don't want to miss important alerts about breaking news.